We're going to have a deeper look at our tadpole pose now. Now with a tadpole pose, it is a variation of frog. So tadpole's a small frog. It's going to be something that looks very similar to a child's pose, but there's a very important little subtlety to this, and that is the knees are spread super wide. And so this can be a really good pose as a variation for frog, particularly if people have compression points at the side of their hip. I'll offer tadpole as a variation. But in its own right, it's really beautiful because it's getting into the spleen a little bit more as opposed to the liver, which is going to be for your frog pose. Now, you can use something that's a little bit more cushy for the knee. So you could turn sideways onto your mat and then double the mat over, and then you'll put the knee on top of the doubled over mat on both sides. Now that's a variation that you could do. Now I'm going to use a little blanket for my knees though, and you're going to separate your knees as wide as you can. As wide as you can, big toes touching. Now I could go a little bit wider. I just don't have enough width. I would usually adjust this to make those knees as wide as you can. Big toes are touching back behind you as well. And then you're going to have the bolster out in front of you. And then as you come forward, you're just going to lie onto the bolster. It's pretty simple, but you want to try and get your torso parallel with the earth. So as you're coming forward, belly is comfortably down on top of the bolster, and then resting your head down as well. Now, in this position, what you'll quite often see is people that don't quite have the range of opening the knees out, so they're going to be like this. And so then as they come forward, they've got this really awkward angle at the back of the neck, and they're going to get compression points at the back of the neck, like so. So the way to make this better for these people is you're going to grab hold of a block, and then another block, like so, placing it on top of the bolster, and then they can come into this position, and they're still going to get the exact same benefit, but they're just not going to get those compression points at the back of the neck. And this will be way more comfortable for these people as well. So do be really mindful of your students and to help them avoid those compression points in this position. You may get another compression point at the front of the hip here, and that's about just the femur bone pressing into your anterior superior iliac spine, or the anterior inferior iliac spine, ASIS or AIIS. And so that's just the front of your pelvis here. So the way to make that better is just open the knees out more to the side, similar to what you might get in a high lunge, high dragon lunge. Open the knee more out to the side, or similar to what you might get in a happy baby as well. Again, open that knee out to the side. I generally use this more for a spleen channel because we're opening out through the spleen pathway by opening the knees out and bending the knees at the same time. You could use this for a liver pathway if you want, and I do use this as a modification for frog when I use frog, which is for liver. And then you could really use this a little bit more getting into your glutes as well, so into your gallbladder. And that's going to be your tadpole pose.